Hi everyone, this is Carolyn Speaks, the State of the World on Friday, September 11, 2020. So what is the state of the world? Well, the coronavirus is still hanging around, still with us. As of earlier this evening, we had 6,464,760 confirmed cases in the U.S. and 193,801 people have passed away from this virus due to negligence from President Trump and his administration. And so what can we do about that? Well, we have to wear a mask whenever you go out. You have to practice social distancing, 6 feet between you and any other person. You have to only go out when you need to, like to the drugstore, the grocery store, the doctor. And you should be doing everything you can to help other people who are having trouble because of this pandemic. So, as far as education goes, kids should learn at home, and the government should be providing every student with a computer and a high-speed internet access. That's the only way this will work. Schools should not reopen until it's safe to do so. Teachers have been dying, and that is not right. Now, we have to protect those who are vulnerable among us, uh, first responders, healthcare workers, essential workers, um, farm workers, agricultural workers. No one should have to go to work in an unsafe place, unsafe conditions, and unemployment insurance should be provided to provide a living wage for everyone until this pandemic is conquered, until the virus is conquered, till we have a vaccine, and till everybody is practicing uh, safety, social distancing, only go out when you have to, and wear a mask. That's not happening because cases keep going up and the fatalities keep going up. We need a national lockdown. We need a national plan to get all the personal protective equipment we need. National plan, have a national test to test everybody. Anyone test positive, treat them, get them well, trace their contacts, and the contacts test positive, treat them, get them well, test their trace their contacts, and so on and so forth. We also have to protect those in prisons and jails and detention centers. We have to protect the asylum seekers. We have to protect everyone, because if someone gets the virus and they go out and spread it, then it can affect you or someone you care about. Trump has been detaining asylum seekers, families, and separating the children, and now he's deporting children. We don't know if these children are being deported with their families or on their own. It's a very crazy system. The immigration system definitely needs to be reformed, but it should not be used as a way to get rid of people, groups that you don't want, which is what Trump is doing, because his wife got into the United States uh, as a model, and she got a green card or something when she eventually became a citizen, probably when she married Trump. And then she was able to use immigration law at the time to bring in her family members. But Trump doesn't want anyone else to have that privilege, so he's trying to block people who are asylum seekers, people who are coming from countries he doesn't like from Latin America. And so he's trying to keep them out. What is that all about? Now, we also have to protect our post office. We have to repeal a horrible law passed in 2006, claimed obsession by the Republicans after they lost the election before the Democrats took over. It requires the post office to pay retiree benefits 75 years in advance and prevents the post office from pursuing other avenues of revenue like postal banking. And we have this person who Trump appointed as the Postmaster General, who is removing collection boxes, those blue boxes from street corners, and he's dismantling mail sorting machines and getting rid of them. Uh, and the mail is, and putting in policies that prevents the mail, postal workers from making sure all the mail in their post office gets out and gets delivered. So we really have to restore the, uh, the policies we had before Trump's lackey came in, and don't, and then we get the mail service back to what it was. I know he's trying to do this because he thinks if people vote by mail, he's going to lose the election. He's also trying to get uh, states and counties to remove drop boxes where you can drop your ballot off at a polling place instead of having to go in, vote in person during a virus pandemic. So it's really crazy out there. So hopefully everybody will get their ballot, vote by mail, get your absentee ballot as soon as you get it, fill it in as you can, and return it as soon as you can to make sure it gets there in time. Because each state, county has different requirements. The ballot has to be received by election day, or it has to be received by a certain amount of days after election day, or it has to be postmarked. But these absentee ballots that are being sent out by various states to the registered voters, its postage is prepaid, therefore you're not going to get a postmark on it. So that is a little bit of a problem. We also have to have criminal justice reform. Still these protests still going on as a result of the murder of George Floyd in Minnesota by a white police officer. We also have to crack down on violence. People are protesting violence against minorities, and we have counter-protesters coming in. They're white supremacists from various groups protesting these protesters. So we really have to get rid of racism. It's going to take a while. Racism has been with us since the beginning of the country. Slavery was with us from the beginning. First it was indentured servants. Then we got slavery. And now we don't have slavery anymore in indentured servants, but we have practices and put in place. They call it Jim Crow laws, segregating people, segregating groups. So anyway, there's a lot to do. Now, so we talked about the post office, the racial violence, police brutality. We talked about the virus, and we talked about education, and we really, and making sure everybody is safe. So, now today is also, another group that's been hard hit by the virus is Native Americans. Native Americans, a lot of them live on reservations, and it's supposed to be sovereign nations, but a lot of them have very poor infrastructure for, like electricity and plumbing and things like that. So it's, we have to really help them to get what they need. And they're also sovereign nations when they're still fighting to keep pipelines from coming across their land, and also trying to keep out outsiders during this virus situation. They have checkpoints so that people can't, especially the Navajo Nation, so that people can't enter their land and bring them the virus. So, and then the governor of some states is trying to prevent the Navajo Nation from instituting checkpoints and keeping people out. So, that's a problem. But they are sovereign, and they do have the right to do that. The Supreme Court recently passed some regulations that re-emphasize the rights of these Native Americans and their sovereign nations. Now, today is September 11th. September 11th, 2001, we had a big tragedy in our country. Some people from Saudi Arabia hijacked a one hijacked a plane in flying from uh, I think they were flying from Boston. Two different planes were hijacked, and they were flown. Each was flown to New York City, to the World Trade Center was. One of those planes flew into one of the towers of the World Trade Center, and then later on, the other plane flew into the other tower of the World Trade Centers. Eventually, those towers just came down, just flattened, and a lot of people were killed. Also, there were these hijackers also um, hijacked a plane in the D.C. area and flew it into the Pentagon, and then another plane was hijacked, I think, from New Jersey. I forget, I know it was two from Boston area, one from New Jersey and one from D.C. area. Then I think the plane that was taken over from New Jersey, it flew out of New Jersey, was crashed into a field in Pennsylvania. It was then in turn taken over by passengers to prevent the hijackers from doing whatever they planned to do, and the plane crashed. So a lot of people's lives were lost, and every year we honor those who lost their lives, the first responders, the essential workers, those who are on those planes. It's a real tragedy. And for a time, we did have unity in this country around because of the tragedy, but that quickly dissipated. We also got ended up with a war in Afghanistan, war in Iraq, various wars, a lot of wars. So anyway, September 11th was terrible, but I read an article, or makes an opinion, in the New York Times at that time, and the other author of that opinion piece said that September 11th happens someplace in the world every day, which is true. When the United States launched its war to avenge what the people had done, the hijackers had done in the U.S., December 11th, and these people were led by a guy who has, from Saudi Arabia, but who had kind of taken up residency in in Afghanistan. Then he moved on. Then later moved on to Pakistan. So anyway, since this person, the Saudi Arabian person, and his group were kind of based in Afghanistan, the United States thought it was justified to attack Afghanistan. Well, we're still at war in Afghanistan. Many people have died. Almost 3,000 people had died at the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and the field in Pennsylvania. But many more were killed in our war against Afghanistan, later a war against Iraq. So the numbers just don't equate. War is never the answer. War doesn't solve anything. We need diplomacy. We need to promote human rights all over the world and end these endless wars. Wars of you do something I don't like, I'm going to attack you, and then the person you attack says, you do something I don't like, I'm going to attack you. So wars are never resolved. They don't resolve anything. So we need to really end these wars and solve problems diplomatically. That's why we have Department of Secretary of State. But under Trump, Secretary of State, really, that department just went away. And so it was supposed to be like for diplomats, but it kind of went away. Doesn't do anything. So we really need to promote peace, not war, and justice and fairness all over, uh, in our country and all over the world, because nothing good comes out of war. It does enrich the defense uh, contractors, those companies that make the weapons of war and sell them to various countries. So they're killing machines, kill a lot of people, kill a lot of wildlife and plants, and kill a lot of nature, and we really have to end it. So, on September 11th, 2020, we should all strive to promote peace and justice for everyone in the world, and not war and fear and poverty and everything. So we really have to do a lot of stuff. In this country, we really need to reform our healthcare system. The coronavirus pandemic has shown us that people who don't have access to health care are the ones who are really suffering, because they have underlying conditions that haven't been treated because they don't have access to health care, and the coronavirus does seems to seek out those people. So if any of those people get the virus, they do not do well. A lot of them pass away. So we have to reform our healthcare system to make it a real healthcare system, a good healthcare system, not a good health insurance system. No one should have to have health insurance in order to get health care. For instance, we have public education, we should have public health as well. We do have public defender for those who need legal help and can't afford it. So anyway, that's something we really need to do. Interfaith dialogue is a good way to resolve issues. I was involved with interfaith dialogue for about 10 years, and that's really a good way to do things. You can have dialogue about anything. It doesn't have to be about religions. It just should be about different countries, different groups, different ideas, different values. Dialogue is very good. It's better to talk than to fire a weapon. Okay. Now, so we talked about a lot of things today, and I think maybe it's time for a little song. So the song I like to sing today, and it's a short song I wrote. It's called, I don't really know what the name of it is, but here we go. I'll slay your dragons, I'll slay them all. Kill all the bullies, I'll kill them all. Don't be a bully, be a good person. Treat everyone as you would like to be treated. Oh, I'll slay your dragons, I'll slay them all. Kill all the bullies, I'll kill them all. Alright, now, that's, well, I was talking about, before I was talking about peace and nonviolence, and obviously this song is promoting violence against bullies. So, it's time to say goodnight. Thank you very much for tuning in this evening of Friday, September 11, 2020. Remember, take care of yourself, take care of others, stay safe. And remember, kindness goes a long way. Kindness goes a very long way. Thank you. Stay safe. Good night.